So with a recent tweet, CD Projekt Red has reminded the gaming community, who is incredibly excited for Cyberpunk 2077, that a multiplayer mode in some capacity will be coming to the game. But before I talk about this multiplayer, if you go on to enjoy the video, or if you're liking what you've heard so far, I guess, I don't know how you can really love what I've said so far, I've said shit all yet, but maybe hit the like button. I feel real cringe asking anyone to hit the like button, but I do believe it helps out with the video's algorithm and crap like that, so it'd be cool if you did, I guess. Thanks. CD Projekt Red has said on Twitter, "Until now, the only thing we said about multiplayer was that it was in R&D. As we're getting closer to launching single-player Cyberpunk 2077 in April 2020, we'd like to confirm that multiplayer's in the works. If you feel like lending us your skills, apply." Then in that second tweet, "The plan for now is to deliver Cyberpunk 2077 in April, then follow up with DLCs for free and single player content, and once we've done, we invite you for some multiplayer action." Now obviously, as a CD Projekt Red fanboy, I'm all in on Cyberpunk 2077 single player content. They've talked about, I know, the DLC and expansion plans before, but it's great to hear, of course, that we're going to be getting those free DLC packs like we got for Witcher 3, but then of course hearing we're going to get single player expansions. Hell yes, they've set the bar so high for single player expansions and season pass related content. Now admittedly, it does feel kind of weird to talk about some of this stuff with the DLC and this multiplayer stuff that's far out, considering the game isn't even out yet. And there's definitely a chance, I suppose, that the game could very well be delayed beyond April of 2020. That's a topic for another day. So with the potential implementation of a multiplayer into Cyberpunk 2077, I feel like that's something that's relatively unprecedented. There could be examples of it out there, but I'm not aware of any, where a game that has come out, it's been released, it's a single player open world RPG, or any real single player game for that matter, that then gets a multiplayer mode added to it that sounds like it could be relatively substantial, maybe, potentially years after the original game is released. The closest thing I can kind of think to in this regard is what Rockstar has done with GTA and Red Dead. Those only launched around a month or a few months after the single player iterations of the game released. So while I guess that is kind of the closest example that we have to something like what CD Projekt Red is talking about here, it's definitely not exactly the same thing. I definitely would be interested in seeing the interest in a multiplayer mode for Cyberpunk 2077 way after it comes out, because the way they word their plan, it sounds like they're planning on releasing all the expansions and single player DLC stuff probably in the 12 months following release, and then getting multiplayer. So multiplayer would probably come out between a year and 2 years after Cyberpunk 2077 releases. So that's a long time, but assuming the game's going to be good, which I presume it is, then I can definitely see people still having a lot of interest in that mode when it comes out, no matter when it comes out. So the fact that it would release so long after release is certainly unprecedented, but the fan base isn't really going to care about that, I don't think. There's going to be plenty of stuff to dive into in the regular single player. But screw all that, what the hell is this multiplayer actually going to be? There's kind of a handful of common sense options here. The possibility of a co-op mode being added where players can jump into each other's worlds, explore together, kind of like a GTA Online kind of thing, I suppose, where they complete missions and crap like that. That's certainly possible. Obviously, then you look to PvP options. Could there be some kind of competitive modes, things like Team Deathmatch or whatever? I don't know, that sounds less likely to me, just because it seems just kind of weird, at least to me, to imagine CD Projekt Red developing those kind of modes for games. It's certainly possible. I mean, they constantly seem to be up for trying new things, but that seems a bit out of character. And I guess another option is they could choose to kind of combine the two in some capacity to make a kind of live service game, where there are a lot of PvE missions in the open world, but there are also PvP modes, something like a Destiny, I guess. You may be able to tell from the tone in my voice that none of this stuff really interests me at all. All I want from Cyberpunk 2077 is a really fun and really awesome quality story and single player game. That's all I want. I'm not at all interested in the prospect of jumping back in 2 years after release to play some PvP or to team up with friends and do some dumb missions and grind for XP or whatever the hell. None of that crap really interests me, and to be honest, I do have a feeling, at least from what we understand of CD Projekt Red and how they operate, that that kind of thing wouldn't really interest them either. And I don't think that that kind of live service, grindy kind of gameplay would really interest the average Cyberpunk fan, or just fans of the studio in general. So in that way, for me, the only, I guess, somewhat appealing multiplayer option that would actually enhance the Cyberpunk 2077 product and be appealing to the fanbase would be something like a cooperative experience. As to how that would work, I've got no idea. I don't know if that would be possible to make the whole campaign or the whole single player story and all the side content in the open world available for co-op. I think that sounds like a tall order, but given the increase in development time this is going to take, maybe that's what they're planning. But then you've also got to ask at that point in the future, how many people are going to care about replaying the campaign again with a friend? So I don't know, it's certainly a unique situation for CD Projekt Red to be undertaking this kind of thing. Like I said, for them, I think doing something in the open world that is co-op related gameplay would be the most appealing to the fans and would make the most sense as a natural evolution for the studio's talents. But regardless, I think the possibilities for whatever this multiplayer ends up being will be much clearer as we get more information about the game, and especially obviously when we get our hands on it, hopefully next April. Let me know what you reckon this multiplayer might be in the comments down below. This has been SirCazz, farewell.